Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. Is Dr. Seuss being canceled? Is his books being canceled? That's the way some are pushing it. Now, before I unpack this, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. Now, recently, let me tell you the story, and then we'll get to the misrepresentation of this whole Dr. Seuss cancellation issue. The Dr. Seuss publication decided that there were certain works, certain books that needed to be removed from the collection because of its racist and sexist material. Okay, now some on the right now have gone ballistic by saying Dr. Seuss is being canceled. That's a lie. They know it's a lie, but what else is new about that? The point that we need to understand here is that these are some of the books that have questionable information. Now, understand this, that Dr. Seuss, for over 7 decades, his beloved children's books have been celebrated. I read them as a little child, or I should say, I was read to me, as well as, of course, I think it's over some 600 million copies of his books were sold, translated into multiple translations. Not translations, but languages. But also understand that Dr. Seuss was born in 1904. Now, the reason why I say that is because think of the times, think of the ideology. He was a man of his time, and like many authors and movie stars and celebrities and politicians and famous people of the times, they reflected the times. He was also a political cartoonist, and he wrote certain things like this. He pictured something like this, like how he pictured the Japanese. And again, the problem with that was he was slanting, pun intended, Japanese Americans. You remember that incident with the war? All of a sudden, there were some white people that decided that Japanese Americans were a threat, and then rounded them up and put them in internment camps. America's always done that. But I digress. Dr. Seuss's books recently now have discovered certain material. Now, let me just show you one of the materials that is in question here. That is one of the issues, okay? And people said, hey, this is a little not good for the images. Now, to be clear, not all of his books are being removed. The vast majority is still intact. But the publication, not cancel culture, not Me Too culture, not politically correct culture, is canceling Dr. Seuss. The publication said, we're going to self-correct. Hollywood has always had bad images. Let me just give you an example here. Look at that, right? These are some of the images going back during Dr. Seuss's time. Mammy images. Buck-eyed, buck-wide, the happy Negro. Pleased to serve the white man. Pleased to clean their floors, even nurse their children, right? And their happiness was surrounded in the happiness of Miss Ellie and Master Jack. I'm making up these names here. But wait a minute. Hollywood is always... You know what? Here's another interesting thing while I'm thinking about this. That those who are decrying the cancellation of Dr. Seuss was a liberal. Okay, that's just a footnote there. Hollywood, by the way, has been one of the most racist institutions ever. The Klan might have wore the sheets, but Hollywood, remember this image here that I just showed you, this was Hollywood. This came out of the Hollywood image right here. You want to come even to the modern times, think about this. In the modern times, Negroes are the same way. They are pictured a certain way. I remember seeing an interview by Spike Lee who was, in this preparation of making the movie Malcolm X, and he says, by no means should a white person make an image of a movie about Malcolm X. And the reason why is, and he was absolutely right, because if white people, the way they have portrayed blacks, have always been a problem. I'll give you two quick examples. Steven Spielberg, one of the most beloved directors of our time. And by the way, I wouldn't even say he's a racist. However, in his movie Independence Day, Will Smith's character as a U.S. captain, shucking and jiving, right? That's the way they pictured him. Why? This is Steven Spielberg's image. Back to the Future 2, another Steven Spielberg movie. When they go back to the alternate timeline, his neighborhood is now a ghetto, the worst of ghettos. Goes back to his old house. Of course, white flight has happened. He climbs into the window. And all of a sudden, the father comes with his boxer shorts on. What you doing, sucker? So the point is that we've always had these images. Now these images are not right. And people are saying, hey, you know what? Stop portraying us this way. Same thing with Japanese Americans, Italian Americans, Irish Americans have said the same thing. Native Americans have said the same thing. All when you have a white person who is decided in their head, this is how they're going to show people who are non-white. See, it's one thing to portray a movie. It's one thing to say we're going to have an accurate movie. And even to stretch it to say, okay, let's even stretch the movie to a comedic level. That's fine. What Hollywood was doing, and what a lot of the white society was doing at the time, was deliberately mischaracterizing non-whites, blacks especially. That's why you see these kind of images. Let me go back to my image here. This is why you see these kind of images. By the way, the one guy with the top hat on, that's a white man who plays that image, and not even a black man. But of course, if you look at the one on the other side, the black man, he's always that happy Negro. Look at the one on the top, Hattie McDaniels. Look at the guy who's in the car, right? He's happy to be prancing around with the white lady. But Hattie McDaniel, look at that image right there. Okay, Miss Sassy Bossy. These were deliberate images, is what I'm saying. They were deliberate images to mischaracterize people of color or non-white. And this is what this Dr. Seuss image is, you see. When Dr. Seuss drew this image of Africans, right? Big lips, dark skin. Now, there are other issues. I could go on and show you other issues in which he drew. I'm talking about Dr. Seuss, the guy, the author. Okay? So, yeah, he had a racist tendency. So the estate now is saying, we're going to correct some of that. And let's stop telling the lie that Dr. Seuss is canceled, because he's not. They're just saying some of the images need to be taken out. Now, let me just also say this as a quick note. I think we should keep these images around, but just tell the truth about them. You see, one of the problems is people are defending, for example, pulling down Confederate statues. I am for pulling down Confederate statues. I am for them being preserved in museums so that we can know this is what America is. This is what America was. Let's not honor them. So the same thing. I think that these images, these books should be preserved to show, hey, this is the time. It was an ugly time. Racism is in the DNA of America because it was in the heart and in the minds of America, which, by the way, which led to the treatment of non-whites for well over 90% of its history. And that's nothing to sneeze at. So when people now who are trying to rail against the idea that all of a sudden the beloved characters of Dr. Seuss are being canceled, one, they're lying, but two, no, it's just they're saying, hey, these images that were meant in as mischaracterizations, we're correcting. And that's all. Look, that's my perspective. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP The Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. Till next time, I'll see you then.